Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome again. So next in the line we have Vinit from Postman. So he's a software developer at Postman. So he's gonna talk about open source contribution, project development, and the title itself is if you are a techie, you should your homepage should be GitHub, not Instagram. So I'll ask Vinit to start the presentation and talk to the participants. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Vishal. Thank you for this opportunity to share my journey with the community. And I'm really excited about the today's talk. And I hope like people will be with me for next 1 hour. So hi everyone, this is Vinit. As Vishal told, I currently work with Postman as a software engineer where I work with all kinds of modern JavaScript. So today I'll be talking about GitHub, my journey into GitHub and how you can engage yourself to the open source. And the as the title says that if you are a techie, your homepage should be GitHub, not Instagram. So I mean, like all of us have Instagram account. We spend a lot of time scrolling Instagram and we tag our friends on memes and we do a lot of stuffs on Instagram. So the same way you can do a bunch of stuffs on GitHub and that's gonna help you to build your career. So let's move on to the next slide. So yeah, so before I begin, thank you so much to Force United for this platform, and I really appreciate this initiative to promote open source among all of us, and especially in India. So I'll begin with my journey. So I remember in 2016, GitHub was introduced to me by a few of my seniors in one of my college club, and like when I came to know about the GitHub, I thought that this is the place where I should represent myself and I should start working on. And if you could see in 2016 I just have 4 commits. So this is my contribution graph on 2016, and then I started working on, and as I grow and as I learned some new skills, and I keep on engaging myself with open source a lot. And then finally in 2020 you can see there are a lot of green dots on my profile. Still it's not complete green. Some
Yeah.
so a lot of people, right? I mean, like they think that, yeah. Okay. Okay, so I'll start with, okay. So for this slide, I just want to make one point here is you should never compare your first chapter with someone else's last chapter. I remember like the first project which I posted on GitHub was just a calculator which basically calculates the cube and square of number, which I built using PHP when I was learning PHP. So a lot of people complains that they are not good coder and they don't have good projects, why they should push on GitHub. No, definitely you should push it on GitHub. So it's your journey. Like you are starting in 2017, then you might have a small project which is present on your GitHub, but the quality of projects would be improved by the time you are growing. And also, right, so the point here is these green dots will represent your journey as you grow. And you should not think like this okay, somebody is posting very good project and I am posting some calculator or some to-do list. No, it's your personal project, it's your personal space. And the secondly, the point here is when I actually browse a lot of people, like I stalk a lot of people on GitHub, and I find that their first repository is far better than mine, and I really get amazed by their work. So yeah, so moving on to the next slide. So in today's talk, so I won't be talking any technical stuff. I just want to share the journey. I just want to I mean, give you a talk on how you can engage yourself with the community. And moving on, like this is a good thing. Like I must say that open source has given me a family. So I met a lot of people through open source, and now we meet. So now we can't meet due to lockdown, but before lockdown we used to meet in Bangalore in some hackathon, and we used to have fun. And I learned a lot from them. Like from the way they write the code, and they guided me, they mentored me for a lot of things, for my, even for my college interviews and campus placements interviews. So this is how once you engage yourself with open source, you will get to know a lot of good people, and you will find that they are helping you to reach to your goal, and they are actually mentoring you for your better tomorrow. So the point here is, once you engage yourself with open source, you will find a lot of good people to engage with. So now moving to the next slide. So yeah, so this is something that every beginner asks us, like how we can contribute. And there is a big misconception that all of us thinks that if you are a good coder, then only we can contribute on to open source. No, it's not like that. Even, if you fix a typo in documentation, that's also counted as a contribution. So a lot of us thinks that, okay, so we should know very like or React, or we should know machine learning, or we should know Golang to contribute to open source. No, to get started, you can even get started with just fixing typo, or even let's say you are using some software, some open source software, and you find some bug, you can report that particular bug to their repository or their org, and this is something that will be counted as a valuable contribution, that you discover something that the developers couldn't discover while testing phase or while beta testing phase. So that is also a valuable contribution. So this is how you will get started, and you will engage yourself with open source. So you will find there are a lot of open issues where they say that you have to pitch some idea, and they are trying to build something, they are trying to solve some open problem, and you have to give your idea, and your idea will be equally credited like others. So no one is going to stop you. So like people think, right, you need not to be working with Facebook or Google or Postman or Gojek to actually contribute to their code base. Like all of these bigger organizations have open source a lot of code, and there are a lot of libraries which is built by these organizations, which is present on GitHub. You can go ahead, you can check out their code base, and you can look for the beginner friendly issues, and you can take up any issues, and you can create a PR, and once the PR gets merged, you will be contributing to the one of the most start project on GitHub. So this is how you actually engage yourself. And the one more thing, like you can review anyone's code. So when you review someone's code, or somebody reviews your code, right, you get to learn a lot of things, because there is a difference. Like the people with 10 years of experience will write the code very efficiently, and easy to maintain and easy to scale. And as a beginner, if you write the code, you might not be writing a scalable code. But once the any experienced people will review your code, you will learn a lot from his comments. And this is how you will actually know how to write a scalable code, or maintainable code, or the code which is performing well. I mean, the performance will improved. So these things you will learn, because open source community has a lot of good developers, and they all are working since 15 years, 10 years, and they are actually creator of few very popular open source libraries. And this will help you to gain actually a broader view of any particular domain, let's say JavaScript or Golang or Kubernetes, any XYZ. So all these are open source on GitHub. And currently, I guess more than 20 million repositories are open source on GitHub, and which is increasing day by day. And you will see that you will find that a lot of people will be on GitHub. So now, as the government in India has mandated that from 6th standard we'll have coding, so I believe that now from school time only, the students will start contributing to open source, and we'll have a great community there. And GitHub is something that you can treat as your portfolio. Like this will be something where you will look into that. Like it's like for an actor, or for a dancer, or for a singer, like their YouTube channel maybe, and their albums and their playlist are their actually their journey, right? And this is something that represent them. And the same way, if you are a techie and if you are a developer, your GitHub is something that will be your portfolio, and that is something that represent your work. So you must be on GitHub, you must be contributing on GitHub from day one. So this is the point which I want to convey to all the viewers which is viewing this YouTube live. So moving on to the next slide. So yeah, so like I have been contributing since I guess 4 to 5 years on GitHub. So according to my personal experience, the few observation that I found, so I want to share, and this will be a few suggestions. This is how you can gain engagements from open source community. So the first point is Readme. So a lot of projects lack proper readme. So readme is the key, right? It's the heart of your whole project. So anybody looks into your project, the first thing that they will look into is your readme. And you should have a very proper, well documented readme. You should explain every bit of that your project, like how to install your project or how to set up locally, and what are the external dependencies that you are using, and what's the concept behind that. And if you referring to some external resources, you should put links to that. And this is how you people will come to know about your project, and they will get interested in your project. So there is of no evil. Let's say if you have put some project which is doing some AI algorithm, and there is no readme, and if I like, let's say if I land up to that project, I don't know how to run that. I won't be able to know what kind of problem you are trying to solve. So readme should be always well documented, and it is something, that is, window to your project. So you should always keep your window open, then only air will come inside, right? So that way the readme should be well documented. There are a lot of things, right? You can put GIF, and you can put some very nice batches there, so that it will look like very cool readme. And you can find a lot of inspiration on GitHub. There are a lot of projects with very nice readme. Is license your project, though you are like open sourcing your project. So there are a lot of available open source licenses that you should use. Like there is GNU license, BSD, MIT, and I prefer MIT, because this is something when you don't want to commercialize your project and you want everyone to use your project, then you can put MIT license, and you can explore more about the different licenses which is available on internet. And then moving on, so this is about yourself. Now how will you engage other people from the community to contribute to your project? So the first thing is, you should have a proper contributing doc. When I say contributing doc, you should explain every bit of your project, like what is your branching strategy, and where you want them to make the pull request, and like what you expect from them. Like they have to write unit test for the particular piece of code, and they have to add something, or they have to add JSDoc, they have to add proper comments for the code that they write. So basically you have to write your standards, your expectation, and guidelines to contribute to your project. And the next thing is the code of conduct, which is basically a good standard for the community. And you should have a code of conduct, meaning that how you expect your contributors to behave with other contributors. So this is really important. You should keep it in your project. So this will make your project look like complete and pro project. And moving on, now GitHub has provided us pre-built template for pull request and issue template. Let's say for bug and for feature request, we have a different templates. You just have to configure your templates, and this will help users to actually raise the PR and raise issue very easily. Like we should actually, we are gaining contribution from the community, and we are not paying them, so we should make their life easier. So you should always have PR and issue templates ready. So this is how it will be easier for them. And we have a lot of automated bots on GitHub, which can actually help you to label your issues properly, and it can also help you to welcome your new contributor, meaning like whenever somebody will open a new issue, automatically your bot will comment something, some custom message. You can build your own bot, or you can actually, there are a lot of bots already, you can utilize that, and you can configure with your repository, and this will help you to gain engagements from the community. And why I say that label your issues properly, because a lot of beginners, they jump into the website like issuehub.io and firsttimersissues.com, something like that, right? And there they try to find like some issues which is beginner friendly. So if you label your issues, like you put labels like first timers only, or maybe beginner friendly, or easy, or help wanted, like these labels are there, so your project will definitely will be discoverable by the people who are looking to contribute for beginner friendly project. So this is important. Like until and unless you don't label your issues properly, it won't be discoverable by the people who are looking into the projects to contribute. So this is a good point. You can actually research on like which labels you should put. So like few popular labels are beginner friendly, up for grabs, help wanted, and like that. And the next thing is you should always engage with the community via issue thread. So let's say if somebody is commenting on your issue or somebody is saying something, you should respect his or her idea and you should comment immediately whenever you get time. So this is how you will build relationship with the community, and you will feel that you are getting engaged with the people, and suddenly you'll feel that okay, I should spend more time on GitHub, not on Instagram, because here also you'll tag people, you'll comment people, and you'll interact with the people. And the next thing is you should maintain the quality of code, because people are more intended towards contributing to the projects where like when there is good quality of product is being made, right? So when I say the quality of code, meaning that you should follow the standards. Let's say if you are using Node.js, you should follow the I mean the popular boilerplates, and your directory structure should be proper, and your code should be modular, and you should have comments, proper comments, and you should link documentation if you are using some external API, and this will make your code one level up to rate. And people who tries to contribute to your project, it will be easier for them to actually look into your code and understand your code base very easily. And I don't know like how many of you are aware of this add relevant topics. So basically when you create any repository on GitHub, you see there below that it says that add few topics. So these topics, let's say if you are building a calculator using Node.js, so you can actually put some topics saying like calculator, Node.js, or basic calculators, or something like that, right? So these topics will actually work as a meta when somebody tries to Google out something, let's say basic Node.js calculator project on GitHub. So actually the browsers and even the GitHub search algorithm works on these topics, and they look into these topics and then try to find the projects which is relevant for this particular topic. So you should always have a very good at least 4 to 5 topics, and this is how your project will be discoverable to the community. The next thing is GitHub has provided us GitHub Pages, where you can actually host a static website. And when I say static website, that's basically Jekyll themes. So you can actually deploy your docs. Let's say if I have written some API, you can deploy your docs, API docs, using GitHub Pages, which is free for use, and it's very cool. I mean, like you can just a single step. You just have to enable GitHub Pages. You have to select the theme, and you are done. So, and you can even host your readme. So any MD file you can host, and this will be very this will be actually, you can have you need not to write HTML or a React or anything to host your website. You just you just use your markdown files to render, and it will be hosted as a website, and it will be easier way to actually fasten up your development. And the next thing, let's you have some test in place, and you have some unit tests or integration tests, so you can actually utilize GitHub Actions or maybe Travis pipelines. So there are a lot of CI/CD pipelines that you can utilize, and this will ensure that no one is going to break your code. And like if somebody submits the PR and the pipeline is passing, or all the existing tests are passing, then it gives me a confidence that this is not going to break my existing behavior, and I can simply go ahead and merge my code base, and this will actually help you to manage your code better. And because each time you have to go through the PR, and then you have to do a lot of manual testing. So why to go with manual testing when we can automate the workflow using GitHub Action? So you should explore GitHub Action, and you should automate your workflow according to your requirements. So this is something that I believe that everyone should explore, and TDD is something which is very popular. Like you should always follow TDD approach, and the projects with the pipelines and project with the test, proper test, unit test, and all gain more attraction on GitHub, because the people who are very experienced, or like average in development, they are more intended towards contributing to the projects with which follows TDD approach. And the next is follow proper branching strategy. This is very important, because when you collaborate remotely, there will be a lot of people who will be contributing at the same time. So avoid any kind of conflicts, we have the branching strategy. You should know Git well. You should have actually few branches. Let's say I'm having feature slash front end branch for my all the front end work. I have another branch saying say feature slash back end for my back end work, and I have a develop branch, and master is my most stable branch. And all these things, right? It should be documented on your contributing doc as well as readme, that okay, so your everyone should branch off from develop, and if they are contributing to front end, they should branch off from feature slash front end. So this will actually avoid all the conflicts, and this will make the contribution smooth, and it will save your time. And then basically, like when a lot of people will contribute to your project, and you will manage basically very nicely the whole community contributions. And you can also utilize the GitHub projects, where you that's basically something similar to Jira board or maybe Trello board, where you can have to do in progress and done cards and actually boards, and you can move out your issues and PR, and you can actually automate all these flows using GitHub Actions. And recently the GitHub has released that profile readme feature, which is actually, now I guess this will replace having the portfolio. Like a lot of us create our own website, and we host it to to play to just keep all of our works and achievements at the same place. So now as we have profile readme, we can actually write a lot of things about us. We can put our projects there, we can put our external blogs, or maybe whatever we want to showcase there, we can put it there. So profile readme, I believe that everyone should have, and this is something that will represent your bio and about yourself. So have a very cool profile readme. There are a lot of very cool templates, and there are a lot of cool profile readme tools. Actually, you can have your few pin repository there, you can have your most used language there, you can have your GitHub activity there. So all these are already present, and you can utilize all these things and some cool batches there to design your profile readme, which will basically define you in on GitHub. So these are basically not all, but few points which I thought of sharing with all of you. This is basically from my personal experience, which can help you to gain more engagements. So this is not something I'm talking any tech, but apart from this, yes, your code, your idea, everything should be really nice. Then only people will contribute, and to your project, your roadmap should be very clear to them. But yeah, even if you have a very good idea, and if you don't have these things in a place, so you might not get that much engagement that you expect to receive from open source community. Yeah, so moving on to the next slide. So yeah, so there are a lot of open source initiatives which basically works in the direction of promoting open source. So let's begin with the Google Summer of Code, which is very popular. Like everyone wants to be a GSOCer in their life. So GSOC is basically a program which is sponsored by Google, and here the students basically works with mentoring organization for their projects, and you will find that everywhere, I guess, more than 40-50 organizations take part in GSOC as a mentoring organization. And every organization, maybe 4 or 5 students, they try to select, and they work with them for 2 months, and they get paid for that. And this is a very one of the very popular open source initiative. And to get selected as a GSOCer, there are few things that you should keep in mind. Let's say if you're targeting to be a GSOCer next year, you should start from today itself. So you should first decide like which domain you want to go. Let's say I want to contribute any project which is related to Node.js. I should look into the all the previous year organization which have projects related to Node, or maybe I want to contribute to Python. I'll look into the organization which has projects of Python, and I'll start looking into the code base. I'll check out the beginner friendly issues, and I'll start contributing to the issues. And basically I'll start engaging with that particular organization, so that when the time for the GSOC application comes, there will be high chances for me to gain an edge over the other applicants. And then this helps actually, because the mentors will recognize you, and the whole community will recognize you that, yeah, this is the particular guy who is contributing to a lot to our organization, and we can consider him for GSOC. So go ahead and check out the Google Summer of Code official website. You will find the organization. So now GSOC is over for this year. So better luck for the next time. And I hope like a lot of people will be interested in going for GSOC. Yes, so moving ahead, we have next is the FOSS Hack. So basically, this is the platform where I got a chance to interact with all of you, and I guess this is the first ever hackathon. This kind of hackathon, I really like this idea. Here, you can actually get a platform to promote your open source work, and you will get a lot of engagements, and your project basically it will give a voice to your idea, and you can actually engage a lot of people to your project. And then as all of you, most of you who are viewing this YouTube live is taking part in FOSS Hack, all the best for this hack, and I hope you will make it huge. And moving on, there is a GirlScript Summer of Code. So this is basically an initiative by GirlScript Foundation. So I remember this year more than 2,000 students took part into this from across the world. And here you will find very beginner friendly projects. So I guess there was no shortlisting this time. So everyone who has applied for it got a chance to take part in this, and they can contribute in any project. And then this is a very good place for beginners to take part, and it's a 3 months long program, and you can find very beginner friendly projects, and basically this can be a stepping stone to open source, and you can start. So there were a lot of people who were basically getting started with the Git, and they made their first pull request in this program. And moving on, Hacktoberfest is coming in October, month of October. So here, like this is the place, where a lot of people come just for the swags, and that's fine. But you should not stop after October. You should, continue your journey. So Hacktoberfest is basically you just have to create I guess 3 or 4 pull requests. I guess three pull requests, and for that you will receive swags from DigitalOcean, basically the company which sponsors Hacktoberfest. And these are few programs, but there are a lot many. Like if you talk about the India, there is a Kharagpur Winter of Code, then Cats Winter of Code, there is Hackins Code, Student Coding, and if you talk about the globally, so we had RGSOC. I mean, like this year, it's not here, and then I guess probably it gets over, and we don't have RGSOC anymore. But there are many more, like Google Outreach is there, and you'll find that there are a lot of open source initiatives. So for the whole year, you will find something is going on, and you just have to keep an eye on this initiative. And this initiative basically helps you to engage better with the community, and you'll find very good mentors, very good organization, and very good projects to contribute with. Moving on, so yeah, as I always say, community is love, and you just have to be, you just have to engage with the community, and you'll find a lot of good things there. And there are a lot of organizations where you can actually contribute. So I have just few organizations, but this is endless. And like the Postman, you can contribute to the Postman even though you are not an employee of Postman. You can look into the open source code of Postman, and you can submit your pull request. There is Webpack and Facebook has React, and there are a lot many other projects. And then you can see TensorFlow, Anita B.org. Most of these are actually part of also GSOC, where you can GSOC mentoring organization, and you can contribute to this organization to be part of GSOC. And if these are two organizations which is in initial phase of their journey, Take Phantoms and Girl Coded. So basically, if you are getting started with open source, you can actually be part of these organizations like Take Phantoms or Girl Coded, and you can actually contribute to their code base, and it will be counted as a very good kickstart for your open source journey. So you can actually explore. There are a lot many organizations according to your interest, according to your domain. You can find the best suitable organization for you. So yeah, moving on. So this is something which I say to everyone. You should actually maintain a streak on GitHub like you maintain one on Snapchat. Like I have a lot of friends who maintain streaks on Snapchat. So the likewise, you should try to maintain a streak on GitHub. I mean, this will feel good, and then you will see that on Twitter, like a lot of people follow the trend, that trending hashtag, that 100 days of code. So likewise, you can also maintain a streak on GitHub, and then the make your contribution graph complete green, and you will feel good. It's itself is a, I mean, like itself is an achievement to have a 100% contribution. Yeah, moving on. This is actually one thing, like a lot of people stalk people on Facebook or maybe Twitter or Instagram. You should actually stalk people on GitHub, and trust me, you will get to know a lot of new things about technology, and you'll find a lot of good projects, and then you'll feel that okay, so somebody is doing something, and you might find an alternative to that, and you you never know, right? Just by looking, stalking someone's profile, and you might find some good use case, and you can build next trending project on GitHub. So yeah, spend some time on GitHub, explore a lot of repository, explore a lot of profile, explore a lot of organization, and this will give you a feeling like what kind of work the people are doing. So no one is going to stop you. Like you being in India, you can explore repository of US, Europe, anybody, right? And any company's repository, and you will get to know what kind of code that the people who are more experienced than you are using or writing the code, right? And then this will give you a very good learning opportunity. So yeah, and moving on, yeah. So I guess now I'll take few questions from the audience. If we have any questions, Vishal, do you have any questions?
So the presentation is done, right?
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's almost done. So guys, thank you so much to bearing with me for this half an hour. And yeah, so I'll take few questions, Vishal.
yeah, so as I can see one in the group. Uh, Wait, let me. So what are the issues? Like that is not exactly, I think, questions for the beginners, but that's something, for the organization level. Like since we're working in a Postman, with
Okay.
Postman, so what are the issues for companies that use open source software? So,
Yeah, I mean,
mm,
like, so mostly for the bigger organization, you will feel that the most of the issues will be feature request, and there you will have to spend more time. So if you are a beginner, or if you are looking for a beginner friendly issue, so that might be changing the color of button, or shifting the div, or increasing the padding. But when you talk about the bigger organization, you will find that there will be issues which will be around feature request. Let's say if you talk about the Postman, so we have an open source project called Code Generator, where we expect people to build a code gen for a language. Let's say if you have a code generator for Golang, we might ask you open an issue to build a code generator for some other language. Let's say Perl or PHP, kind of that, right? And then this kind of issues you can find in a lot of organization. That will be mostly a feature request. And I must say, like, you might have to spend maybe a couple of weeks to solve that particular issue, even more if you are not coping up with the pace that they are looking for. Vishal, hello.
yeah, hello. So I think there might be another perspective to this question. So like an organization who actually use FOSS tools.
Mhm.
So they might be, maybe that particular tool is not actually built yet. So I'm just talking about,
Mhm.
let's say any organization plan is using some open source tool,
Yes.
and that open source tool become, proprietary. So that issue actually for companies, I think that might be one perspective for this question. So
Yeah, so the point here is like a lot of when any company uses any open source library, right? They credit it. I mean, like we are using some open source library, and a lot of companies they write a wrapper on top of that to use that particular open source library. And I'm pretty much sure that all the organization uses open source in some way, right? I mean, like we have like React, which is open source, and everyone is using React. So I mean, like, it's not like that. And the way that people are using might be different. They might create a wrapper on top of that. Like, let's say you are using Chromium, which is open source, and we might write
Yeah.
a wrapper on top of that to build our own browser, right? And that browser might belong to us, but the underlying thing is something which is open source under the like license of Google, right?
Yeah. 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 And yeah. Okay. I'll go to the next question.
Yeah.
Sort of asked. Are you a React developer? What do you think about React and Django combination in web development?
So yeah, so I work with React, but I have never worked with Django. So I work with React and Node. So yeah, so I mean, like, the language doesn't matter, the framework doesn't matter. So what matters is the how you understand the architecture, right? If you think about any at a bigger level, right? I believe that somebody who is working with React and Node.js, and if somebody asks us to shift to Django, it won't take much time for us, right? I mean, like, the things, the overall architecture level things works the same way. It's just the, syntax change and the few behavioral change. So we should not worry much about that. I'm not sure like how Django is also popular framework, and I haven't worked with Django with React, so I won't be able to comment much, but I believe that you should not worry about the framework or the language that you are using. You should worry about the fundamentals, you should worry about the architecture, because it's all about, uh, understanding basically how you are understanding the web, like how does the things works, because this will make you a better coder. So let me give you an example. Let's assume that you are getting hired for Facebook. So Facebook won't expect you to, use React. They expect you to build React. So here there is a difference, right? They don't want you to someone who can actually use React. They want someone who can create React. So this is the difference. So to create React, you should understand the web architecture. You should understand the how does the www works, right? So here
Yeah.
for Django it works the same way, for Node it works the same way, for PHP it used to work the same way, right?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
point is this.
Yeah. I think he might have got the answer. So sort of, if you still have any, like doubts, so you can again comment here, and we'll go to next question. Joshua, what is more preferred in industry? An enthusiastic person who experiments, learn, and explore, or a guy who makes projects and put on resume?
I mean, so this is
Interesting
actually
question.
an interesting question, right? So I must say, right, you should not spend 4 years of college just to adding one line in your resume, right? You should enjoy actually. You should engage with a
Yeah.
lot of people. You should network with a lot of people, because again, it's like, I don't see that you will be coding or you will be a geek till like at the age of 30 or 35, right? You should actually interact with a lot of people and you learn broader perspective, right? You should understand,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
one bigger difference that we face, right? When we are in college, we think of writing the code, but when you will start working with the company, there you have to think in the direction of solving a problem. So okay, I have this problem. Community is facing this COVID problem. I have to solve this problem using technology. Now it's an open problem, right? How creative you are, then you have to think, and then once you have your idea in your mind, it's just converting English into the code, right? So this is something, and I believe that, I mean, like, you should actually learn something and learn and enjoy something. That's what I personally feel. I think you are on mute, Vishal.
Okay. Yeah. I think Joshua has answered. So there is bit noise, so I'm trying to avoid.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll go to next question. So what are the disadvantages of open source? Like using FOSS tools, and how you can overcome it. Like,
So I don't say there is any disadvantage. So it's only there is a scope for improvement for any open source tool, because this is how the software development life cycle works, right? Any software has always a scope for improvement, and when we use something, some FOSS tool or some FOSS library, So we find that okay, this is something which is not working, and we improve that particular library, right? And this is how you the open source works. Like when any company
Yeah.
actually open source their library, they expect that okay, so from the community we'll receive some bugs or some contribution that will improve our software, right? Even if you talk about the React, the first version of the React was not stable, and then from a lot of contribution from the outside people, and it got actually improved. If you talk about the VS Code, which is like one of the popular IDE, right? And VS Code has
Yeah.
a lot of external contribution to it, and now it has become in a very, I mean, like one of the most coolest IDE, right? That every one of us use. So I guess there is no advantage. It's just that sorry, there is no disadvantage. It's just that there is always a scope for improvement if you are using any FOSS tool.
Yeah, 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 cool. So yeah, one more question from my end actually. So,
Yeah,
like we see in India, we consume a lot of software, right? FOSS tools,
yeah.
free software, and we don't produce one. So I mean, like, how do you think like people should start, like worrying and when like people should worrying about this? I mean, obviously. So what is your perspective on this? Like, what should be some plans or a strategy to make this thing, bridge this gap?
So I mean,
The
like,
user, yeah, the user and production, yeah,
got it. So
demand and production.
so all the producers are once consumers, right? So to become a
Yeah, yeah,
producer you should first learn how to consume it. And I believe that the in India, like I have seen the open source is growing very fastly. There are a lot of programs which is promoting open source, in colleges, and among companies also. Like a lot of Indian unicorns are following open source. If you talk about the Postman started as an open source organization. And if you talk about the Gojek, has also a lot of open source libraries and open source tools. And then there are a lot of programs like this ForceX. So these all will help us to actually reach to that level, and we'll see that we'll reach to that. And the point is, it's not that open source community in India is not, I mean, not good. It's just that we are contributing to the project. So a lot of Indian developers are contributing to the React project. Maybe it's Facebook's project, but Indians contributions are there. So it's like we and I believe that by the time maybe in coming years we'll have a lot of good fast tools from India, from Indian community. But yeah, Indians are actually doing really well in on open source, I believe.
you mean like things have taken, flight? I mean,
Yeah,
things
yeah,
are
it's
getting changed.
improving. I mean, like it's
Yeah,
improving. True.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool. That's cool. So I think this is a few of the questions we got. Yeah, I mean, we are done with questions, I think. So if those who are listening and have still some questions, feel free to ask in the chat section. And also, like Vinit will be helping us in this FOSS hack. So, like, feel free to, like, ping him. I'll share you his contact. I mean, Telegram one. I mean, or Twitter or the platform you are actually. So, yeah, I think we have these all questions, Vinit.
Yeah. So yeah, and thank you everyone for listening. And if you have any doubts, just feel free to reach out to me and any of the platform that you are comfortable with. Mostly on Twitter, I'm like more active there. Maybe in GitHub, like we don't have DM option. The only difference between Instagram and GitHub. But yeah,
Yeah,
and I guess I'll share this PPT with Vishal, and Vishal can actually forward to all of you and
yeah,
all the
sure, sure.
participants.
Yeah, this was an awesome session, Vinit, and we
Okay.
hope we keep building fast projects and we keep contributing to open source projects.
Yeah, definitely. Like, we'll make it huge. And and thank you so much
Yeah,
for having me for today's session. It was a quite short session because I thought of keeping it short, and I just want to
yeah,
give them a way how they can actually engage. And guys, like each slide has a lot of things to share, but I couldn't share due to we have a limited slot. And you can actually go and look out. There will be a lot of already available resources on internet around GSOC, around how to have proper readme and how to actually use GitHub actions and all this. You can look into in Google search, and maybe on YouTube or GitHub, and you'll find a lot of inspiration. and then the whole idea is just get addicted to the green dots and participates in a lot of competition and hackathons like FOSS Hack, and Hacktoberfest is coming up, and maybe in coming year you might be taking part in G-Shock, and just connect with the developers across the globe and learn from everyone, and then be like create the next most trending project on GitHub.
Yeah, cool, cool. So for those who are listening right now, okay, you can definitely reach out to Vinit. You can ask me personally, or let's say if you are viewing this video after the hackathon, we'll add description about Vinit and this slide, or if you need this. So in future, if you are watching this video, so thank you, Vinit, for joining today, and thank you again, and thank you all the audience who are actually listening to him right now. So
Thanks.
yeah, bye bye. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.